فتربصوا إنا معكم متربصون والله غالب على أمره ولكن أكثر الناس لا يعلمون.
Al-Mansour is a district in the capital city of Iraq, today known for its vibrant atmosphere and diverse population. However, the city's history was not always a peaceful one. During the early 2000s, Al-Mansour was facing extreme violence and instability as a result of the invasion that had been ordered by President George Bush beginning in March 2003. The invasion was launched in retaliation to the September 11 attacks that had occurred in the United States 2 years earlier. It was during this time that 52-year-old American citizen Eugene Armstrong would call the area home. Eugene was employed as an engineer, and with over 30 years of experience in his field, had undertaken jobs all across the globe. And in the late 1990s, his journey led him to the Middle East, securing a position with the Kuwaiti-based company Gulf Supplies and Commercial Services. The company's primary focus centered around the reconstruction of areas in Iraq that had been impacted by the United States-led invasion of March 2003, which is estimated to have resulted in the tragic loss of over 100,000 Iraqi civilians. Eugene shared his residence with two of his colleagues, 48-year-old American Jack Hensley and 62-year-old Kenneth Bigley, who was originally from Liverpool in the United Kingdom. Living on the outskirts of Baghdad, the three men had hired an Iraqi-born guard in early 2004. This was to provide extra security during the increasingly volatile situation within the country. Just months earlier, members of the Iraqi insurgency had begun kidnapping foreign nationals, taking them hostage and making demands to the government of their home countries. These demands included things such as the withdrawal of troops within Iraq, ransom money, and prisoner exchange. When these conditions were not met, hostages would be brutally executed, with a number of these being filmed and posted online. One of the earliest incidents was the death of 32-year-old Nick Berg. Nick had travelled to Iraq from the United States, working as a radio tower repairman. He disappeared at the beginning of May in 2004, and his decapitated and beaten body was found 1 week later on a Baghdad overpass. On May 11th, a video was posted to militant jihadist forum Muntanda al-Ansar with the title Abu Musab al-Zarqawi slaughters an American. The video depicts Nick seated in front of 5 armed militants. Nick confirms his identity before he is pushed to the floor as the militants begin to cut at his throat with a large knife. For Eugene and his housemates, their fear began to intensify when the house guard informed them he was stepping down due to several threats by armed militants. After this, the trio debated leaving Iraq, however, decided the work they were doing was worth the risk. Not realising the grave danger that their lives were now in, they agreed to continue living in Al-Mansour. This decision would seal their fates, and on the 16th of September, the three were abducted from their home. 2 days later, a video was released by the Tawhid and Jihad Islamist extremist group that showed Eugene, Ken, and Jack kneeling in front of the group's leader, Abu Musab al-Zarqawi. Al-Zarqawi was a Jordanian-born jihadist who ran terrorist training camps in Afghanistan throughout the 1990s. Zarqawi stated that the men would be executed within 48 hours if their demands for the release of Iraqi female prisoners held by coalition forces were not met. The United States and United Kingdom's government denied that it held any women in the Qasr and Abu Ghraib. named in the videos. However, the US admitted that it did hold 2 female high-value detainees in undisclosed locations. The US government failed to meet Zarqawi's demands, with President George Bush stating, "These killers want to shake our will. They want to determine the fate of the Iraqi people. We will not allow these thugs and terrorists to decide your fate and to decide our fate." But with this statement, the fate of the 2 American hostages, Eugene Armstrong and Jack Hensley, had now been sealed. 4 days after his abduction, on September 20th, Eugene would appear in yet another video, this time without his fellow hostages. Sitting on the floor, with his hands tied behind his back, Eugene can be seen nervously rocking back and forth as a group of 5 armed and masked militants stand behind him. Wearing an orange jumpsuit and blindfold, Eugene begins to twitch nervously as one of the militants reads out a statement that lasts for around 8 minutes. As the statement ends, a visibly terrified Eugene is pushed to the ground by his head, as one of the masked individuals begins to viciously cut at his neck with a large knife. Piercing screams of pain can be heard for several seconds as blood begins to pour. As his trachea is severed, he can be heard gasping for air until his lifeless body falls silent. Eugene's severed head is placed on top of his body, with the camera zooming in as the video comes to an end. The following day, Jack Hensley was also beheaded, just 1 day short of his 49th birthday. After the deaths of the 2 Americans, the negotiation for the release of the 3rd hostage, British man Kenneth Bigley, became a widely publicised political issue in the United Kingdom. Prime Minister Tony Blair refused any direct contact with the kidnappers, but assured the Bigley family that everything else was being done to secure Ken's release. 2 more videos would emerge, one on September 22nd and the other on September 29th. These showed a tearful Kenneth Bigley, confined to a chicken wire cage, again addressing the Prime Minister, pleading for his life. Efforts to save him included the distribution of over 50,000 leaflets in the Al Mansour area, and a visit to Iraq by 2 men from the Muslim Council of Britain. The campaign to save Ken's life reached people all over the world, even receiving public support from high-profile figures such as King Abdullah of Jordan and Libya's Colonel Gaddafi. Despite the efforts to save him, Ken would ultimately face the same fate as his 2 American housemates. He was beheaded on October 7th, 2004, and a video of his execution was again posted online. His body has never been recovered, although it is rumoured to be located near the entrance to Fallujah. Abu al-Zarqawi, who is thought to have personally executed all 3 men, continued perpetuating terror attacks against Iraqi civilians up until his death on June 7th, 2006, when he was killed in a targeted bombing by the United States Air Force.